Hey, what's up you guys? It's Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review on the Season 3 premiere of History's Vikings. Before we get into that though, anyone else see the 2.5 Men series finale last night? What a freaking slap in the face to the fans, right? Yeah, I'm still pretty pissed off about that, but I almost did a video on that actually. But, I didn't really think that fit too well with my channel, even though I did do a video talking about Charlie Sheen wanting to return a while back. But just my quick thoughts on that. I saw the whole episode as a complete joke and a complete troll move on the part of the creator of that show. And really, it was a slap in the face to the fans, both deserving and undeserving alike. A slap in the face to the fans who complained and the fans who actually didn't over the years. They just were completely selfish on that part. And, you hear about Charlie Sheen. He actually proposed, like a heartwarming scene at the end, but instead we got what we got, and it was, like I said, a complete slap in the face or a middle finger to any fan of the show whatsoever. So, that was pretty terrible. But anyway, on to the good part of February 19th, which was, of course, as I said, the Season 3 premiere of Vikings. A very solid premiere episode. Not much went down, entirely, but we do get a very good setup for the rest of the season, I think. Of course, we sort of, one of the earlier scenes in the episode is, Ragnar and, Bjorn's conversation on the cliff they're on top of, kind of looking over Kattegat and stuff like that. And we hear Ragnar ask Bjorn, what he fights for, what is he fighting for, and Bjorn, sort of gestures over to looking down at Kattegat, and we get a sense that Bjorn is interested in power and stuff like that eventually as well. And that's when we hear Ragnar deliver the speech we've heard in the previews for the season, saying power attracts the worst and corrupts the best. And, it's only people who are willing to lower themselves, enough to pick it up. I might have gotten the words mixed up there, which I probably did, but still, that's a very good scene. And you can probably tell that Ragnar's a little bit worried about Bjorn, getting further into that and stuff like that, and rightfully so, because he's seen what power does to people, not just other people, but himself as well. He acknowledges how many mistakes he's made over the years and stuff, so that was all really good. And the main point of the episode is them traveling back to Wessex to go to King Egbert basically, and they were gonna trying to negotiate more of their land and stuff like that. And King Egbert had actually already given them a sizable piece of it, and there's this whole negotiating thing. I forget her name right now, but the queen, or the princess of Mercia, she came there, the one who killed her brother and stuff, and she was trying to get all these Viking men and warriors to fight on her side to take back the throne in Mercia, which she believes to be rightfully hers. But she murdered her own brother, and now it's her and her uncle and her other cousin, or I forget who it is exactly, but her uncle and another relative who are both after her, and she wants to get the throne back from them. And so, she actually gets Ragnar and the rest of them to volunteer to fight for her, and on the part of King Egbert as well. And we see a lot from that, and you can tell that the Princess of Mercia is pretty attracted to Ragnar, because you've seen the way she was even looking at some of his warriors last season and stuff like that. So we'll see where that goes. I think they're probably gonna get it on at some point, although in the previews I do think I remember seeing the princess and Rollo actually kind of going at it, so we'll see what happens with that. And which I won't put too far past him, because we see Rollo's not exactly 100% loyal to Siggy either. So there's no real reason to be, after the way she treated him in Season 2 anyway. But anyway, and of course Aslog, stays back in Kattegat, and she's sort of rushed off by Ragnar. Ragnar is still having trouble accepting what his new son is. It's the one with the you know, I forget what you call it, the leg that's really messed up, so he's not going to be able to walk right when he's older. And, you know, Ragnar's still kind of struggling with that. And before they left, you know, he was saying he does love his son. And then Aslog asks him if he loves her as well. And, you know, he kind of stares for a few seconds and then it cuts off. So, yeah, I don't think Ragnar is ever, like, truly in love with Aslog, at least to the point of how much he was with Lagertha. So I feel like Ragnar may have another love interest before the end of the show. But we'll see where that goes. And for some reason I don't fully trust Aslog either. But we'll see what happens with that. And it was good to see Ragnar finally, you know, sort of addressed as King Ragnar, which is really awesome because after, you know, he killed after he killed King Horik at the end of last season, you know, he is actually a king now. And as Egbert says, now they are truly equal. But I still don't know whether to trust Egbert at this point or not. It's kind of hard to say. I don't think we can really fully trust him. I think it's going to end up being some kind of huge, you know, confrontation between their two sides as the season goes along. But for now, they're allies. And, yeah, we sort of see Egbert sort of putting the moves to Lagertha. And speaking of Lagertha, you know, she's so the Earl, you know, King Ingstead and stuff like that. Ingstead. I'm going to mispronounce some of these names here, okay? That's just how it's going to go. I apologize. But, yeah, we see, let's call her Lagertha. You know, she's the Earl, and she has this guy with her named Calf, I believe his name is. Again, I could be easily mispronouncing it. But Calf, you know, is actually, you know, someone who's actually rising to power in her area as well, and she fully trusts him because, like, you know, he's been at her side for the past year or so, or the past few years anyway. I'm not sure. Again, I watched it last night, and I was just like really furious about 2.5 Men, so I'm probably gonna forget some of these things. But you know, and he's fully trusted by her, and you know, I apologize. But Lagertha actually leaves him in power, in charge, while she's gone, you know, to Wessex. It's not my day, guys. I really apologize for that. But, and, you know, thinking she can trust him, but then we see later on a conversation between him and the guy who pretty much tried to rape Lagertha last season after he helped her kill her abusive second husband. We see they're actually negotiating, and they're planning on overthrowing Lagertha anyway. So Lagertha, please watch your back. Because you're one of my favorite characters on the show, other than Ragnar, of course, and perhaps Rollo. But I'm a little bit more worried about Lagertha now because she had a scene towards the beginning of the episode talking to the seer, asking if she'll ever bear another child. And you know, the seer basically said, I've searched far, I've tried to see far ahead and stuff like that, and I don't see another child for you. Which causes her to be fairly concerned, and not only does he say that, he also says that, as far as Lagertha asking when will she die, he says the gods know, but they have not yet, you know, provided him with that information. So yeah, are they foreshadowing Lagertha's death this season? I hope not, but there's plenty of setup for her to be backstabbed this season, so I'm a little bit worried. You know, on the part of Calf, and, you know, the area she's ruling, and also on the part of King Egbert. I don't know. Although I don't think Egbert's planning to kill her at this point, I still think the betrayal is possible. Of course, it is Vikings. So we'll see what happens with that. And yeah, like I said, King Egbert was putting moves on Lagertha, and, you know, he actually brought her to some farmland. He actually decided to give over to her, which is it's a pretty sizable chunk of land for them. And as she said about her and Ragnar earlier, they're still, you know, pretty much farmers at heart, and that's all, you know, that's what they wanted since the beginning. And, you know, it kind of shows that Ragnar still has sort of like different motivations from the rest of his men and stuff like that, because they're all about sort of the glory, and Ragnar's sort of like put off by all of the carnage and stuff like that. So Ragnar's always been different, and we also see a scene between him and Athelstan, because, you know, we see Ragnar sort of like struggling with, his religious beliefs. Of course he still believes in the gods like Odin, Thor, and the rest of them, but he's also sort of starting to believe in Jesus Christ and God. They're Athelstan's God, possibly, so we'll see what happens with that. If you guys see that promotional pic, that's all around everywhere. You'll see that Ragnar's holding that cross, so I wonder if he's going to embrace being Christian at some point, but we'll see. And I just think it's kind of cool because Ragnar's like it could be like the first major step to like religious open or religious acceptance. I don't know. But we'll see what goes on with him as far as that goes this season. And yeah, it's good that Lagertha is sort of getting more power on her own, but I think she's a little bit too comfortable with all these men that sort of flirt and try to get into her a little bit, because she is way too trusting to Calf, because we see what he's planning on doing, and the fact that she's probably about to welcome Eckbert into her bed as well. I don't know. Because, we see her and Calf talking about marriage earlier, and she was probably ready to accept it there, but he said he wouldn't because that looked bad for both of them. But again, we know Calf's planning to overthrow her, of course. And now she's probably about to easily fall into King Eckbert's bed. That's one of my predictions for, within a couple episodes anyway. I don't really like that pairing. I'm one of those fans that wants to see Ragnar and Lagertha somehow reunite, even though I know that's probably not going to happen because they do try to base major things like that on real history. I know not everything's completely down to the word, but still we'll see what happens with that. I still think Ragnar's going to have another love interest other than Aslog before the end of the series, though, because I don't think Aslog's going to be his final woman, really. But anyway, so yeah, I'm worried about Lagertha. Even though it is good to see her rising in power in a certain way, she just has way too many angles where she could be backstabbed right now. And I don't really exactly like the pairing of her and Eckbert, even though it seems like Eckbert has noble intentions right now. I don't think that's going to last for overly long. We'll see where that goes. And even, Athelstan's sort of like looking at this in a weird way too. He's sort of like, I don't know if this should be going on right now, but again, we'll see what happens. And yeah, so it ends with a big battle scene, which I'm glad they did for the first episode. I think they had to have like an big exciting action thing like that for the premiere, and it was just really good. Vikings is so consistent with the quality of their battles and just the way it looks. It looks very real, and I like it a lot. I like all their battle scenes. And they're basically going into Mercia, and we see why the men Ragnar sent along with the princess's forces to take back were defeated, because we see the uncle and the other relative of the princess are on two sides of the lake here, and they're saying, oh yeah, which side are we going to go to? And I think the uncle and the relative's men were expecting them to sort of like split apart and go after both sides, but instead they focus on the uncle's side and they all go over that way, they all sail that way. And so the other relative doesn't have enough time to get over to the other side before Ragnar and his forces sort of wipe out his uncle and his group of warriors he had there. And so the younger relatives, is forced to watch what goes on there. He tries to fire some arrows, but of course they're completely too far to be hit by any of those. And so we basically see Ragnar, Floki, and the rest of his group, including Lagertha and Rollo, of course, wiping out Mercia's men as far as the uncle goes. Uncle Bitter, I forget Uncle Bitter something, but I'll just call him the uncle for now, the princess's uncle. And we see her watching all this as well. We see her watching Ragnar slaughter everyone, and then we also see Floki is actually the one that gets to kill the uncle here, and he just sort of like ends up chopping him either in the chest or the face with an axe. It doesn't show which area it directly hits, but we see a lot of blood splatter. And then we see like Floki sort of picking up the crown as well, which is a pretty cool shot. How would Floki be in power, by the way? That'd be interesting. And speaking of Floki in this episode, we see him, he has this daughter with Helga and stuff like that. And he's sort of like afraid to... He's basically saying, oh yeah, I don't want to be trapped by all this happiness. But, that's sort of why him and one of his other friends in the group, you know, sort of like getting pretty eager to sail away, because we see his friend also pretty much got 2 women pregnant, and they're all giving him like death stares as he sails away, so that's pretty hilarious. And so yeah, how would Floki be in power? That'd be pretty funny. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Floki, though. I like Floki. And we see when the princess's uncle is killed, the princess gives a very strange reaction, because she seems like horrified that that actually happened at first, but then we see her sort of like, it looks like she gets off on it almost, because we see her and she gets like really happy. So I don't know, she's kind of insane, because we've seen how she is in bed last season, so I don't know. But I'm sure they'll eventually have to deal with the other side's forces at some point this season as well. And yeah, so that's basically the episode. And yeah, I'm not sure if I'll be reviewing this every week, because I do have quite a few shows to talk about right now. You know, also with Game of Thrones coming back next month, I did get back my subscription to HBO, so I will be reviewing that when it comes back on April 12th. I also have that, you know, Better Call Saul, of course, The Walking Dead. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'll be reviewing this every week, but I may, but no guarantees. But of course, you can always check in to see if I do. I very well may. We'll see. But yeah, that was the Season 3 premiere episode. I thought it was very solid. Definitely a lot better than the 2.5 Men series finale, that's for sure. And yeah, I'll catch you guys next time, most likely for a review of the Walking Dead episode by Sunday night or Monday evening. So yeah, you can be on the lookout for that, and I'll catch you guys next time. And peace.